welcome to Cyber Prophets, the podcast for you and only for you, where we speak always about technology. And this time we have an special guest, someone who is in an area that everybody is curious, virtual reality. His name is Milan Mitoshinka, and he is an let's consider as a person who has been in this area for a little bit. He might tell us more about the secrets and how he got involved. And maybe Milan, you can share with us a little bit about you so the audience know you better.
Yeah, hello everyone, and thank you for inviting me into your podcast. Yeah, definitely, VR is something which is tricky, new, and interesting area, at least from IT point of view and consumer point of view. And it's getting big, I would say. And of course, we have to find a way how to effectively um, deliver the applications for it and use it in IT, an environment around us, I would say.
And Milan, how did you get started? What attracted you about virtual reality? Or for example, how did you get involved in this area?
Kind of, it's a little bit connected to phones. At first, I think the VR was either a big headset with a cable and a big PC, or Samsung came with a phone adaptation of it. And I am the guy who does the app development for living, basically. And I was always stuck into the newest technologies since I started working in IT. So this was one of the options where you just take the phone and find it's not only the phone but also headset, or you use it as a AR option, which is a little bit part of the virtual and augmented or mixed reality itself. Yeah.
And can you explain us a little bit better what is this mixed reality or augmented reality? Because I think that not many of us understand the differences.
Definitely, I would try to explain it like simple as I can. More or less, the virtual reality is the environment where you put the display in front of your eyes, and you can see only the virtual world through that display, and you are in it and you interact with it. On the other hand, the augmented reality is basically showing all the objects, the virtual object inside our world. So you can draw some banners, you can draw some pointers to navigate people around the real world. And the mixed reality itself is something in between where you, for example, look through the display and you kind of use something from the both worlds, and you create some gamified environment, basically for many purpose use. Yeah.
And how would you define Pokemon Go, the let's say the famous video game that I think is something in between, but I'm not the expert. How could you define that video game?
Um, Kind of, it's, I would say that's the part where it's part of the games are in the mixed reality, and part of the games are in a um, augmented reality where you catch the Pokemon where it lives. Then it's that virtual virtual being inside our world, basically, which is the augmented reality. And then you play the game, and it's something which is inside your phone, and basically you mix the real world with the game. And I would call that definitely the mixed reality game, but it's presented as a AR game.
Interesting. And for you, what was the hardest part to get it started when you did this transition from mobile development, call it, to the virtual reality development?
Um, I would say it's a user pattern, because from like mobile you try to do something which is really quick, few clicks to be there somewhere where you want to be inside the phone, really instant app switching and everything. On the other hand, the virtual environment is big and tricky and complicated environment where you have to handle a lot of things. For example, like interaction between the headset itself and the human. There is like a human input which goes inside the environment. There are some common practices how it could be done, but when we do, for example, trainings, you have to really think about how people will interact with the objects and how you make it really easy so that they do not get bored, do not get tired inside the virtual environment, and they can stay there for a longer time, basically.
And for example, what are those practices to keep the people, let's say, entertained? Because I think that in our current environment of having thousands of virtual calls is something that maybe it's not exactly the same, but I will say that people are not exactly very pleased. Any idea about those practices that you follow?
Yeah, we try to create an environment which has like three milestones which are met during that implementation. One is that it's an environment which has really good to eye presentation so that you do not get a headache. So basically the system has like 60 plus frame per second, and as more you can squeeze out of the headset better. The environment is, for example, slow and not really quick moving, due to the fact that we would like to keep people there as much as possible, not only to play some game for 15, 20 minutes and then you are exhausted and eyes are like in not good condition. This way we try to keep a lot of time inside a virtual environment, and that allows us to do so. And the third is we think a lot how we use the buttons on the controllers. It's always better not to use the controllers at all. For example, the Oculus Quest with its newest technology allows us to use only hands, but you have a situation where you need to use a controllers, and when you do so, you should stick to some kind of stable pattern with good placements of the fingers so that the user know how to uh, catch things or move around. Better not to fly. It's better to teleport and these things. So you have to think about the environment. It's not like you create an user experience pattern for a flat 2D graphics for the web or phone, but you have to think about all environment itself.
It seems quite challenging, that part of defining the environment or all these details. So let's suppose that you are a beginner. How would you advise someone to get started? Because I think I will be overwhelmed knowing all these details that I need to take into consideration.
Yeah, the good practice we started with is when we started to create an application for companies. We created an environment which was really boring, I would say. So, for example, the garage for some car training could be only the white garage without a lot of animations, without a lot of texturing around, because then you do not uh, like split the focus of the user uh, between the training itself, which is like the 3D model in the middle, and the environment itself. So he's not admiring the awesome environment around, but he's like focusing directly on that training. So this is, for example, what we Started from the beginning, and I would say it went really good, and we have really good feedback from customers and from people who are using the virtual reality. That this is like a really nice approach. They can focus on the training, and they can really make it done really quickly and efficiently, I would say.
And I'm curious that you mentioned that about that you build something related to the companies because when we think in augmented reality or these things, we tend to think only in video games. So what kind of applications or usage you have seen based on your experience besides what you mentioned already about trainings and the other part about the video games in the industries?
Yeah, we all know the video games. I think the Beat Saber and these apps are like part of the shop, or for example the Oculus shop. But what we focus on is enterprise level application into virtual environment, and basically it's more or less all about trainings, uh, um, or education. Um, in terms of like education, we have the human anatomy product, where you have the whole body, the whole human itself with different layers from the bones to the muscles and skin, and you can go through it and see it turn on and off different layers. So basically, it's mainly for the medics to learn how uh, to learn anatomy itself. And from that point, we started to think that, wow, we have this framework and we could import not the human, but we could import, for example, the car, because the car manufacturers are designing everything now in 3D. And VR is uh, using the 3D objects to create the world. So we started to think about how to put these things together, and we created a framework which allows us to either meet virtually in a virtual meeting room or train something, or we have also some games and gamification inside our products. Yeah.
That sounds interesting, and especially the part that you mentioned about the doctors. It remind me to a kind of movie, or it was something like that Microsoft created many years ago, where you could see a doctor performing surgery from Japan to another guy in the United States, but he was using a kind of, let's say, virtual reality or something like that. So you believe that this will be ever possible, that we will be able, let's say, to perform surgeries virtually, even if we are kilometers afar from each other?
Yeah, considering the current hardware, I would say right now it's not possible, because the like efficiency of the sensors and the quality, it's not really sufficient for a surgery. You are not talking about millimeters, you are talking about micrometers, especially on some head surgeries. So right now we do not have a technology. We would have, for example, technology to transfer the virtual image from the virtual to augmented reality and vice versa. But the hardware itself does not allow us to do so, basically. But uh, every year, some new headset, either for VR or AR, is coming out, and every year there is something better, faster, and more efficient. So perhaps in few years, yes, but still, I think this technology allows doctors to efficiently train right now to do the surgeries. So basically, if you do a surgery training every day in a virtual environment, where you do not need the really precision, but you train the procedure itself, it makes you a better doctor. That's what I've got from the doctor. So basically, right now it's more about, okay, let's use the VR and let's use the AR to um, give opportunity to train something, because the immersiveness of the environment and like the human brain works with VR in conjunction really really great. We had a we had one client where there was one training, and the training took 3 days with the common way. So there was a trainer in a training room, and he was giving the lectures, showing the videos, and we recreated this training in a virtual environment, and we basically cut it to the half. So the VR itself allows people to remember more and adapt and like effectively get all the knowledge into the brain faster. And after they have done the test, there was like really, we were sure that they know everything in 1.5 day instead of 3.
Mm. And why do you think that as humans we remember more the things when we're in that virtual environment than when we do it, let's say, in a common lecture room?
It's always like something in between. There is always a lecture there, but
Mm-hmm.
the trainings are inside a virtual environment. So he's not just explaining, he is also showing it, but not via video, but via, let's say, real experience. Let's call it that way, the virtual experience, but they will experience it inside. So, for example, when they are training some climbing on a ladder somewhere up, and there is a rule that if you go climb up, you have to buckle yourself to the ladder, because there is a like lock where you can buckle yourself so that you do not fall. And basically, when you do not do it in the virtual training, you climb up in a virtual environment, and in a halfway you will fall off because you did not buckle up. And basically, that will you will learn by this that you have to do so. Otherwise, you will always fall, and your brain will remember it better.
Mm. And now I'm wondering, like, for example, when you started to build the, let's say, your first applications, can you share us a little bit about how your first experience was, or what was your first app when you started to get involved in the virtual reality, and how long did it take you to make it at least, let's say, playable? Because I know that you have had a lot of lessons all over your career, but maybe like the first time, how long did it take you to make something that people can use?
Yeah, we jumped into it via startup, which was a virtual medicine. They were like, really, it was a startup, two guys developing the virtual environment on the first headset, uh, like 3 years or so. But they were struggling more or less with the technology itself, not with the development. And we jumped to the VR, I would say 3 years back, where I think everything was more or less like stable. So there were some headsets out, for example, development software or framework used for development was stable. So we had a good start, and I would say easy app which is worth it and useful for the client can be created in 2 to 4 months, I would say. Yeah, really quickly. If you reuse a lot of 3D object, and if you are a company who has access to the 3D objects, for example, um, car manufacturers, companies who builds buildings, they have like a lot of 3D material which can be used, or warehouse managers. lot of options, and easy apps can be done really quickly and efficiently.
And what kind of hardware or software do you think are like the minimum things that you must have in order to get started?
Yeah, it was really hard at the beginning because it was like you have to buy the headset,
Mhm.
the cable headset, then you have to have a VR ready PC, either the desktop or laptop, and you had to combine everything together, connect all things together, and it took time, and you had to have a special room for it, and it was a little bit complicated. Now it's way better, thanks to headsets which are um, um, free to use. I would call it that way because you just put it on and it has all the hardware inside. So you just connect it to Wi-Fi and create your virtual room at your home, and you are ready to go. So you don't need to plug in things, and you charge it up, and you just use it. So now is great, and we use, for example, mm, really often the Oculus Quest because it's the best option what you can get right now in terms of quality and effective um, development, I would say. And in terms of like software, we usually do not use the any software of the third parties. We develop the application itself, and we use either Unity or Unreal Framework as a base on which we develop the application further.
And for example, do you have any specific programming languages that you use, or
Uh,
because I'm not sure if they use the same ones like Java, Python, C++, or any specific one?
Um, Basically, Unity itself is based on .NET. So we do have, like, if I will go, we have like .NET developers because
Mhm.
that's the programming language. But it's a tricky part. In Unity, it's not all about the like coding itself. So you do not write the code just like in Java. You have to work with the 3D object, you have to work with the animations, and you have to work with the environment inside the Unity. So basically, there is like a lot of um, clicking inside the environment, the Unity environment, and a lot of setting different scenes and everything. So it's not that you have to be a developer only. You have to have some skill with the 3D objects as well. Sometimes we need the Python scripts. So it really depends on different project what we use for programming languages.
And for example, for let's say to build a successful project, what are like the minimum roles that you will need? Let's suppose that you don't want to be an all one man army, but let's suppose I would like you need to have like a graphic designer or a software developer. Like what are the minimum things that the minimum kind of skills that you need to build these applications?
Yes, yes. So I would call it we need at least one or two game developers. It's common. If you say game developer, it's somebody who is using the Unity or Unreal framework to build the games. Then for sure we need a 3D artist or 3D designer. So guy who is responsible for all the 3D objects, animation of those objects, and preparation of everything. And depending on size of the project, sometimes you need a team who does the video production as well, because you have to create some animated videos, 360 videos into the environment itself. Sometimes you just develop the software itself without these things, so you will need only, or you integrate the software into some kind of environment. So then you have to know what exactly are you going to integrate for, and then you need a Java developer or some let's call him the backend developer, and of course then you need the support staff for this everything, which is like quality assurance team, testers who will test the virtual environment, and then you can bug fix and tune up the application itself. And yeah, some project lead, project manager, scrum master, depending on what type of project you are running. Either you go agile or you go waterfall, depending on a client.
Mm. And but for example, when you mention the game developer, like for example, what kind of knowledge that person should have? Like because I will say that many people that I know, they are just common developers. They are not developing video games. And I just know two people that are building video games, let's say professionally speaking. But what kind of skills are the difference in your opinion between the common developer? Let's suppose that one I would like to become a game developer, like for building these projects. What kind of skills I should learn? Because let's say Unity, I think is the IDE or where you build the code, but what are the other things that I should know?
Yeah. So first thing, you should definitely go through the Unity or Unreal framework itself. I think that's the base. That's
Mm.
something where everybody who would like to start developing in VR or for AR, they should at least know the framework. Um, Secondly, I would say it's it's more or less understanding basics from 3D modeling tools like Maya, some Autodesk, AutoCADs, depending on what segment you will work in. And then, of course, uh, you have like basic things that you have to understand. Spatial design in 3D, some lighting, some texturing options. It would be it's the best if user has it in the development area as well. So he's not really like waiting for the 3D designer to finish things up. So developer can help with this. Um, and then there is like application architecture, the UML analytics. All these things make you a uh, good developer for gaming itself, and the creativity. I would say that's the second part, um, because you have to think a lot how you interact with the objects and everything around. Yeah.
It is quite interesting. And now I'm wondering, like, for example, after you have built your application, how do you distribute it with your, let's say, with your partners, with your clients? Do you use any kind of a store? I believe that when you have a mobile one, you will upload it to the App Store or Play Store. But when you have like something like more complex, how do you distribute it?
Well, the common way is a store similar to Apple, Google. So, for example, Oculus has its own store, and you just go through the review process, and you are publicly available. But currently, it's limited to good application, good games mainly. There is an option as well. The Oculus has a business version, which is Oculus for Business, and they allow you to distribute the application via internal store, let's call it that way. So you have your own store and business. On the other hand, you can have the admin, the guy, the IT guy inside any corporation, and he can take all the headsets and install the newest software into it. So via cable to the headset directly.
Mm. That's something that Yeah, it's interesting. And now I'm wondering, like, do you have, let's suppose Oculus is the one that you have been mentioning. Is it any other, let's say, headset or device that is popular in the market, or let's say, what are the top players that you know right now?
Um, this Oculus is a top player, or uh, the Pico now. It's another manufacturer who has the similar product, and yeah, I would say these two are are like the biggest. They have like big market reach, I would say. So these two are commonly used. There are some other hardware units, but they were slowly discontinued over the time because they were like not fast enough, and not they had not good quality in terms of like providing the user experience itself to the user. So we usually stick with these two, and they are quite good, I would say.
Now I'm wondering something that probably the audience is also wondering, like, what is the relationship between the virtual reality and the holograms? Because I'm not sure if they are related or if it's something else, but it's something that at least I'm quite curious, and maybe many people are also.
Yeah, I would say from development point of view, there is no difference between the hologram via augmented reality and the object in the virtual reality. It's a 3D object which is drawn by um, graphics of the device, either, for example, via phone or in a headset in a virtual reality. And yeah, the hologram, the word for it, it's floating object somewhere in our real world. So so I would say that's the only difference. For example, if you have a Microsoft HoloLens on your head as a the strongest and the best AR solution right now, I would say, then you can see the holograms because you have like display in front of you, which you can look through, and then you can see the holograms. For example, new EV cars, electric cars, they do have like the head-up display, which has an augmented reality as well. So basically, you see the holograms in front of you when you are driving. Then those holograms are like on the ground, the markers, or they are showing you the car in front of you. So that could be the hologram itself.
And now that you mentioned the HoloLens, what is the difference between the Oculus and the HoloLens? I always thought they were the same. Now you mentioned that they are different devices or
Yes.
technologies.
Yes. Oculus, it's not. You cannot look through the Oculus device itself. So basically, you have a display, and when you turn off the application, it's like black, so you can see through it. On the other hand, the Microsoft HoloLens have a like shield, which is from the glass in front of you. So you basically every time you look through it, you can see through it like through the glasses. So and they project you the holograms on that glass, and basically uh, via your eye you can see it in the 3D environment. So
So,
that's the main difference.
so technically, with let's say with some HoloLens, you will be able to play better Pokemon Go, right? In a way.
Yes, definitely. You would be better like in searching for the Pokemons in the real environment and catching them, uh, because you would have like 360 visual around you when you turn your head, and you would definitely see the Pokemons, and it's like better experience than looking through the display of the phone or tablet.
Yeah, technically speaking, that will be transform you into a real Pokemon trainer. And now I'm wondering, do you think that are we going to have like, let's say that holograms are going to become more prevalent in our environment? Maybe in a conference that instead of having regular people, you will have some holograms picking you around the place. When do you think this is going to happen?
Um, I would say it's around the corner right now. I think the most important part is that one of the big companies will have to release the customer AR headset, let's call it this way. So small glasses, something which may be connected to the phone, because right now we are carrying the phones with us, which has like too much power in it. We do not really need that much power, what they offer right now, I would say. So um, Google, Apple could be the starter of this a holo age where everywhere would be some hologram calling you to the shop, giving you some ideas what's where, or navigating you through the whole city itself. So yeah, it could be like just around the corner. I don't know how COVID situation um, like affected everything here and there, but in 2019 it was like rumor that it will come really soon, really quickly, and nothing is coming out. Maybe they struggle with some technical problems, or they want to bring a product which will be really good, because Google tried it with the Google Glass, but it was not that user friendly that everyone would adapt it like they did with the phones, basically. And I think the device have to be catchy, similar to smartphones, to adapt it really quickly and efficiently. And if you think the way, either it will move a smartphone to the like not that important device, or it will be part of the smartphone and you have to use it in conjunction with the smartphone, and then it have to be device which is not that expensive, so that everybody would adopt it, basically. So yeah, we'll see, and hopefully soon, and hopefully there will be some limitations and restrictions, and we will not end up in some kind of crazy hollow junk world, like it's in the movies. And yeah.
And don't you think that, let's say, because one of the things that I about that you mentioned about the Google glasses, or let's say, because that's the name of the project, was not related to the privacy. Because for me, that's like I would be very suspicious if, like, let's say that I can see a lot of people with those glasses. You will never be sure of what you are seeing. Don't you think that that can create that privacy concerns? If right now we're afraid of our smartphones, imagine that you're wearing those glasses all the time.
Yeah, if we take it to the phase where everybody would have it, then you have like a camera on everyone's head, because you have to interact with the world, so you have to have the camera. Otherwise, the device would not know on what thing uh, you are searching for, where you are. Basically, for now, everything is done via camera, and the environment mapping is done via camera. So yeah, we would have like uh, millions of people running around with a camera on a head. Uh, it's it's scary. On the other hand, we have similar thing right now. Everybody are running with the smartphones, and basically, yeah, the smartphone has a like four, five, sometimes six cameras, and they can create the snapshots of the world. So yeah, I wouldn't be so really um suspicious that they will use the data because we already give so much data via smartphone that I wouldn't have that concern really.
And now, since our program is focused on predicting the future, I would like to know, for example, what do you visualize? Like, for example, if augmented reality, virtual reality, or mixed reality will be the top player in the next 5 years, which one do you think is gonna catch faster?
Yeah, I think augmented reality is something which will go really fast as we have a big players on the market right now. Uh, and I from what how I see it and how I see these two streams, I think we'll end up in kind of one device which will be small enough so that it does not really bother you on your head, and it can seamlessly switch between virtual and augmented reality because it's possible. And there I would see the future that basically you'll put on some glasses or maybe put on only the lens into the eye, uh, and you can either see the holograms in our environment, or the lens will go black and will show you the uh, virtual environment itself, so you can train something before you do it in a real world. That's something where I think should go, and it would be really nice that this would be the outcome of the like virtual and augmented reality future. On the other hand, there is a like virtual reality is the nicer world for people, and people tend to go to the easier, nicer, simpler worlds by any means. So I think you have seen the movie Ready Player One. So I hope this is not going to be the future, that people will live their own life inside a virtual world and they will not care about the real one. But it's a possible future as well, because the technology right now, we can see it, that a lot of people are really addicted to smartphones, and they live that virtual world
Mhm.
inside the smartphone. And as in virtual environment, there is that catchy addictiveness to it, and you can play there, you can live the happy life there. It is really addictive for people. So yeah, and the immersiveness itself, it just pulls you inside the environment. So that's the human problem of the technology, but hopefully the other thing I said will be the outcome, and we will just use it, and it will make us better, mm, in human way, basically.
And the last question. Now let's go a little bit, jump a little bit farther. In the next 15 years, what kind of processes or actions do you think we're gonna be empowered by the usage of virtual reality, or any of the options that you believe is the best one?
Definitely, I think what we do right now on a phone, we'll do uh, in on that headset. So basically, the common things like checking the balance, buying the tickets for train, and all these things. I think it's we'll not need to touch the smartphone. Maybe the smartphone will disappear, and we'll just have the headset, and we'll use it like we use a smartphone today, with all the tracking things, training. It's awesome. I would like to see, like, you run with a trainer, which is like a virtual trainer. He runs next to you, and like you can talk with him instead of like reading something in an
Mhm.
application. So I think this is in 15 years, from my technology point of view, this is something which could be nice, and I would say we are going that way. If you see the visuals of the cars, the future of the cars, you can see part of that. It's virtual and augmented reality, because the car should be like without the driver. The car should be fully automated, and then you need some entertainment. So people just instead of glass around the car, they put the screen, so you are in kind of a virtual environment capsule, and you can do different things. So you can see it from car manufacturers' future plans, how they think the cars will go, and yeah, this is kind of part of it.
Thank you very much, Milan. I believe that everything that you have shared is incredible. I would like to see also the trainer next to me running. Hopefully, you will be the one who creates this interesting technology, and everybody will benefit from the next experiments. Any last thoughts that you have, Milan?
Last words. Yeah, I would. Anyone who thinks about joining this um, VR, AR startups, developers should do it, because I think it's really future. And if they have an idea, I think in current world, it's really easy to be part of the company who will take that area, will take that idea to next level and create some awesome product. So yeah, if you have some idea how to use the VR, AR, let's start with the project right now when you are young, and uh, before you just have a family and everything, you can start your own company without some problems and limitation, and try it at least.
Thank you very much, and hopefully you learn something new. And until the next time, see you. Bye bye.
Thank you. See you. Bye bye.